Really excited. First of all, really happy to be back in the swing of really 2 games in 10 days. We're preparing for the Nations League. So to be back at the Vale, to be back at the training base in Cardiff since last October, I believe it was. We were here, ahead of the Bosnia game. So it's great to be back. We've had some great days preparing for the Northern Ireland game, and really our focus is on that game now. Looking forward to playing Northern Ireland. They're a team who we've seen at the European Championships last year, so we know they're a great opposition for us.
Is that the thinking behind one home game, one away game, the best way to replicate any kind of competitive football?
Yeah, for sure. We're looking ahead to that Nations League draw, which is on the 2nd of May, and we know that our 10-day windows will have a home and an away game element, so it gives us a chance to rehearse, get back into the swing of that, and really maximise this window as best we can ahead of September.
We'll talk about some of the players that are here. One who obviously isn't is Helen Ward, the first post-Helen Ward camp, obviously record goal scorer for Wales. How's that been? Probably a little strange, because obviously she's been ever present since you've been there.
Yeah, it is. It does feel different. It's a change, so it feels different for us all. It's great to be able to know that Helen is coming in to the game on Thursday. We're going to really take the opportunity to celebrate Helen. She'll be a big part of who we are moving forward, although not as a player, but we've got some plans for her and, how she'll support us moving forward. And I know that Helen will do that from an off-pitch perspective just as passionately as she did, on the pitch.
No Helen, no Kane Green because of injury. That kind of opens opportunities for other players and for you to maybe try other things as well. Are there players, I know you're not going to give much away tactically, but are there sort of names you could give us of players that you think you might be able to have a look at in their absence?
Yeah, so we've got, you'd have seen in the last camp, we're trying different players in different positions, so we're looking to focus on what that depth looks like for us. We have a number of forward players, Helen being a typical number 9, if you like, so the players who we've seen in that position, we know that Elise Hughes plays in that position, we know that Georgia Walters plays in that position, we know that Hannah Kane's played in that position for a club, but to be honest, players across our front 3, our front line, I think any of them, we've seen Carrie Jones play in the 9 against France, in the last campaign. So we've got a real variety, and I think that's a real threat for us in terms of that variety across the front line and being able to play in a varied positions.
One new face, Ellen Jones. What can you tell us about her other than the fact she probably beat you at tennis?
Yeah. I also believe she speaks fluent Mandarin, so that's a very interesting fact about Ellen. She's an exciting player. She plays off both feet. I've been speaking to Ellen for the last couple of years since I've been in this position. She was in America, and we've been closely monitoring her and her desire to represent Wales at senior level, and we feel like it's the right time. She's currently at Leicester, out on loan at Coventry, and she's really settling back into what the football is like over here compared to college soccer. She made the decision to come back because she wants to compete in this team. So I've had some very good conversations with her. Like I said, she's a player who's both-footed. She's incredibly attacking. And I'm really excited to see how she trains this week and how we can embed her into this squad.
Is this something you've had in mind for, presumably a fairly long time in the works?
Yeah, definitely. We're open to making sure that players who want to represent this country can. And for me, that depth is a sign that the team is moving forward. We want to have players who are strong on the pitch. The players who come on the pitch then are strong. And then that overall competitive environment, we're really driving it. And I think since the Switzerland game, that competitive edge, that belief has been visible in all camps. So when we bring players like Ellen into camp, we see the mindset, the players, the squad is not always the same, whereas maybe before it was more consistent. So it's a real nice challenge for me to have.
In terms of this Northern Ireland game coming up, the competitive nature, you always want your friendlies to be competitive as possible. Some of the senior players in this team might feel Northern Ireland are particularly a team they want to show that they can beat and are better than, just because of a bit of previous tournament history where Wales will feel maybe they were unlucky not to progress.
Yeah, definitely. I think there is that side to it. We've progressed significantly in and out of possession. Northern Ireland have done the same. They've got European Championships under their belt. They've got that experience that both teams didn't have when they played a couple of years ago. I think it's always nice to resit an exam, if you like. So the reset being tomorrow. And I think the girls will. Anyone we play, we want to make sure we dominate in the areas that we do. So you've seen that in Pinatar. Particularly for me, I look back at the Iceland game and look at how we implemented, how we play against that level of opposition. So my expectation is that we do that against Northern Ireland. I won't be thinking about Northern Ireland too much in terms of that history, but I will be wanting to make sure that when we leave the pitch tomorrow, that we were the team we were in Pinatar in Cardiff City tomorrow night.
And obviously on that game, another chance to play in front of your own fans, always a good thing, and it feels like quite a long time coming.
Yeah, it feels so nice to be back here, to have that opportunity. I'm excited. I know the players are. It feels like a long time since the Bosnia game when we had that record crowd. What's exciting about this game is we've sold over 6,000 already for this game, and I think that trebles the current friendly record for a game. So the excitement is there. I know the players are excited. I know I'm excited to be back at Cardiff City.
One more from me. There's been a lot of talk this week about shorts and periods and concerns over, obviously Wales played, I think, in white shorts in Pinatar. England are changing, Scotland are in talks about changing, Republic of Ireland are not changing. I just wondered, had there been discussions in your camp, kind of is everybody happy, and just your kind of general views on the subject?
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's two things. The first thing is we haven't had that conversation with our group yet, so that will be something that we will do. And for me as the manager, I want to listen to the players. I ultimately want them to be comfortable, because from a performance perspective, that's what I demand from them. So ultimately, if they're comfortable, that's key. So we haven't had those discussions yet, but we will. But for me, my focus with those discussions is very much listening to the players' needs and making sure they feel able to perform to the best of their ability.
And presumably with a degree of confidence that whatever they feed back,
Absolutely.
you will listen to based on what's the progress that's been made in the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, without doubt.
Brilliant, thank you, Gemma.
Yeah.
Sean, any questions?
Gemma, two friendlies, but is there ever such a thing as a friendly, and what would you like to see from your group of players over the next week?
Yeah, I don't think I ever think about them as friendlies. I'm looking forward to stepping on the pitch and competing and looking to win the game. We always want to do that. I think one of the things that's in my mind really clearly is we are preparing to play against Nations League opposition who are going to be in Group A, and we know that quality of opposition. So everything in my mind is set to play in that level of opposition, and we know that in that Nations League, to be successful, we're going to have to be consistent, we're going to have to compete, we're going to have a winning mentality, and that's what we want to do. We want to use these games as an opportunity to take a step closer to that Nations League.
Yeah, because with the Nations League, how excited are you for it? Because when it was introduced in the men's game, nobody really knew how it was going to pan out. The fact that there's now a Nations League for the women's team as well, just how exciting is that?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I'm really happy to be in the top group. For me, I look at the seeds and I look at the teams that we're going to play in that competition, and I'm really excited because we do punch above our weight as a nation consistently in the men's and women's game, and for us to have an opportunity to do that on a stage that's even bigger. The Nations League, from a publicity point of view, will be bigger than, say, friendly camps like this. So to have that competitive edge for the Nations League and then that to take us into the qualifiers, yeah, I'm really excited about it.
You touched on it earlier, the fact that you have tried lots of different things recently with new players coming in. How pleased are you with how the players have reacted? And they've certainly risen to the challenge, because it's not always easy when perhaps you're being asked to step out of your comfort zone and to try different things.
Yeah, I really do think it's been a momentum switch after the Switzerland game. I think that every camp we've had, when we played Finland, the Pinatar trip, it's not always about results, but we're unbeaten since that Switzerland game, and we've played some quality opposition. And like I said, if tomorrow the result doesn't go our way or it does go our way, I'll be very much focused on looking at those players and helping them prepare to play against the best teams in Europe, because that's what we're going to do. I think the players have stepped up. I think the players really, individually and collectively, have got a real belief. And that I've seen that switch in belief. After the Switzerland game, it was such a tough moment for us, but it reminded us of the margins, and we are in a situation now where it will always be the margins, and at the highest level, the margins fall in your way or you just falling short. You want to make sure you can control as much as you can, and I think our players are really focused on any marginal gains we can make. They're going to make them in these games, and I think that's why we've seen those positive performances.
For you personally, it's been around 2 years since you first took charge of Wales. And Gemma, what are 2 years? How do you reflect on the time that you've had with Wales so far?
Yeah, it's an absolute honour and privilege to represent this country. I'm proud to be sat here. 2 years ago, It seems like we've been through quite a lot together in those 2 years. I think the team, from an on-pitch perspective, I think the progress that the players have made, I think what we're seeing our players do now on a consistent basis is so nice, and it's right where I wanted us to be. I'm excited for the next 2 years and onwards, but for me now, I'm just solely focused on that Nations League, and everything that I think about is getting prepared for that, and I'm ruthless with my staff and with the players, and it's just exciting. For me, I think the future for us is the challenge is to keep building, and we're really ready for that challenge.
Finally, from me, if I could just ask you quickly about the domestic game in Wales this season. It's coming to a close. We had 9,000 fans watching Wrexham at the racecourse a couple of weeks ago as the national team manager. Just how pleasing is it to see, not just Wrexham, you've had Swansea and Cardiff having really encouraging crowds at their stadiums as well. So just your overall opinion, really.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's almost unrecognisable. If we'd have sat here 2 years ago and you'd have asked me that, I would have hoped we'd have been in this position. But I don't know if we'd have truly known we could have been. So I think the FAW, I think the Adran League, the changes that were made at the time that I came into position, I think we're starting to see the benefits of those now, and how that's affecting our league. But also as well, the European Championships last summer, we wanted to build on that momentum. But as a national team, we've very much had our journey, how we wanted to plan that journey. And I think that we're seeing that appetite, that enthusiasm, the growth of the game at grassroots level and how that's impacting. I think there's some real social change, and I speak about meaningful social change, and those attendances, particularly the Wrexham one recently, is absolutely outstanding. So it's a really proud moment for me and the team, because it's not just about the national team, it's about our game in Wales, and it's in a very, very good place at the moment.
On Northern Ireland, is it harder to prepare for a team who have an interim coaching staff in place like they do?
Yeah, it's certainly it's not harder. There's just more uncertainty, I would say. So with the interim coach, it looks like they're in a position where they're running a shorter camp, which means that you'd think that their new manager maybe is coming in, for the next camp. So there's a little bit more uncertainty because we don't know what the interim coach would do. What we do know is they've got 4 days to prepare for a game. So we have a lot of footage of the team from last year, from the European Championships and from the friendlies that they played towards the end of the year. But there's a little bit of uncertainty, but I think the players are pretty kind of consistent. So in terms of that consistency from a player's perspective, we have a good idea. But I really like that challenge, because sometimes when we play games, the opposition, I pretty much know what they're going to do. In this one, not sure. They could do one thing, they could do another, and I like that challenge because we'll face that for sure in the Nations League, where teams would change formations potentially, during games. So I'm really excited to see and test ourselves against that.
Along the cast was selected onto the UEFA Executive Committee this morning.
Yeah.
Just how big an achievement is that?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'm looking forward to speaking to Laura to find more out about it. I only found out about it about an hour ago when I came back in from lunch, so I know she's out. I think she's in Portugal at the minute actually, and heading back for the game tomorrow, but I'm just excited to find out what that means for us. And she's incredible. In our team, we have our why for us, for them, for her, and she is such a big part of this team, and she's continuing to create history for not only for the women's game but for the overall game with the impact that she's having.
And one final one from me. Obviously, we hope no one else retires in the near future, but with the work Laura's done sort of off the field, do you think there could be a few of the squad who follow in her footsteps and become advocates for off-the-field issues and on-the-field issues?
Yeah, definitely. We have a really strong leadership. I think the females that we have, who are retired players now, the players that we have within our group, they show some real signs of how they are leading and the things that they're passionate about. And I think the great things about the players that we have here is they're passionate about different things, and they're really vocal around supporting what they are. So I don't want some of them to retire for at least 4 years yet, but when they do, I know we're going to have some incredible role models to support Laura in the environments that she's in.
Will Henning get an opportunity to say farewell to the fans tomorrow?
Yes, she will. Yeah. The game tomorrow. The focus for the game is pretty much to celebrate Helen. So that I know there's something coming on at half time for Helen, but yeah, she'll be also spending some time with us as well.
You will say a few words, maybe.
I hope so. Yeah, it's a surprise, so don't put that out.
We got half time. Helen's coming on the pitch, and then full time. We're all going to just meet the post match then as well. Any more questions?